This is Coach Lee, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about what it means to operate from a position of strength after a breakup. And this can be applied to most things in your life, especially if you're looking to have the mindset of operating from a position of strength. And I'm going to explain why that's an advantage that can help you get what you desire. It can also help you to cope with whatever's going on. And that's especially true for those of you who have anxiety. Click the subscribe button below so that you can be notified when I have more content that's like this, that's helpful to relationships, to breakups, to being mindful, to anxiety, and to attraction. So click the subscribe button below and let's get started. So you've probably heard it said by people that you should always approach things from a position of strength. Or sometimes people believe that there are certain times when you should approach things from a position of strength. There are certainly advantages to it, but a lot of people don't really understand what that means. How do you approach something from a position of strength if you feel like you are in a position of weakness? So sometimes we see people who are extremely successful, extremely high profile, and they go through these terrible things where maybe their reputation is being slandered, where the tabloids, the news, are saying negative things about them constantly, and we see them just deteriorate. A lot of the befores and afters on that are incredible. And I have a client, and I always keep my client's information private, but this person's very high profile, especially just a few years ago. And what he was going through at the time, because of several things, was simply incredible to watch, as far as the level of pressure he was under, the danger he was in, and the things that were being said about him, and how he managed to push through to still be a confident person, to be a strong person, and to approach the whole thing with bravery, and especially operating from a position of strength. People who have less backbone, less courage, could not do what he did. And it was impressive for me to watch and to coach him along as these things were happening. And even when he was being told, you need to go into a protection program, he needed some high profile protection from government agencies even because of the situation. And yet he still lived his life, and he actually did things that were remarkable in terms of just the strength he showed in the face of the danger and the criticism. And in many ways, that's what real bravery and courage is. It's not that you don't recognize the danger. It's not that you're not afraid. It's that you act anyway because you believe it's the right thing to do, or because you believe it's the best thing for you to do for yourself, your family, and your life, or for your country. So on to breakups. How do you operate from a position of strength, and is that what you need to do? Does that help you get your ex back? Because if you're watching this video, most of you by far, that's your goal. You want to get your ex back. And so a lot of the happy talk you hear, you often wonder, is this really going to get my ex back, or is this just going to kind of make me a pie in the sky, sunshine thumping kind of person, and then it doesn't work and everything crashes down on me and I realize I was kind of just faking it? That's probably your concern. It's probably your concern when you watch a lot of my videos, because sometimes it seems like I'm more on the positive side and you're wondering, well, is this just to help me have a positive mindset, or is this really to actually get my ex back? So when we're talking about a position of strength, first of all, let me briefly explain what that means. And remember, a link to my emergency breakup kit is in the description below, and that subscribe button is in the description below as well. So I'm going to use a sports analogy, and you're probably thinking, what a guy. Yes, I am in fact a guy. And I am going to use a sports analogy because it makes sense. So let's talk about, say, a quarterback. A quarterback is probably the most visual person on the field. He's the one who has the ball. He's the one who makes the decisions. He's the one who a lot of times we blame if they win or lose. If you watch much football, you might notice that occasionally the big guys on the line get through and they start chasing the quarterback. And at first, a lot of times when I'm in a room watching the game with people, I'll hear people yell, "Oh no!" because this line has gotten through and it looks like the little quarterback is about to be knocked on his back. But have you ever noticed some of those quarterbacks seem to use that to their advantage? One guy, like him or not, who did that exceptionally well was Johnny Manziel. Jalen Hurt is another guy who did that really well. Tua Tagovailoa is another guy who did that very well. And to be more recent, with the national championship game, Joe Burrow does that incredibly well also. It looks like they're about to be knocked on their backs and they run for the first down. Or they get out of the way. They escape these big 280, 320 pound, 6'5" linemen chasing them, and they're able to throw a pass to complete the first down, or even better. And we just think it looked like they were doomed, and they were able to change it to where all of a sudden those linemen were actually out of the way. So they could run because the linemen were chasing them and they had run out of position. So it looked bad for a minute, but then now he has all this open space. That's a pretty good example of operating from a position of strength. People who do this really well, this is how they basically approach this. First of all, people who do this well understand that life is in many ways a house of cards. We have this sense of security, this sense of control, but it is actually an illusion. Control and security are to large part an illusion. We have some, but all it takes, the right time, the wrong person, the wrong time, for things to happen, and all of a sudden we realize we don't have control. We don't have security. Or at least we only have it to a certain degree. And so people who operate from a position of strength realize that all of this could come crashing down anyway. And so when it looks like things are not going well, I can operate from a position of strength, boldness, and confidence, because it could fall apart and crumble in front of my eyes. I will handle that as well. Just like if I didn't operate from a position of strength and boldness, it could crumble before my eyes. So the person who operates from a position of strength treats it as though what is happening could just be exactly what I wanted. This could just be the best thing to happen. Now, am I saying that the person who operates from a position of strength believes that or thinks that's actually the case? It's not what I said. The person who operates from a position of strength chooses to acknowledge that that could be the case, because usually that person has been through a lot to learn the lesson of not panicking when things go poorly, when things don't go well, is usually from a lot of negative experience. But you learn you're actually much more capable of dealing with it and of making things work out well if you don't panic, because it doesn't do any good. It doesn't help you. And so you have to want it bad enough that you back off and you don't panic. You use that energy instead to think and to respond appropriately, because nobody ever said, I sure am glad I panicked. If the quarterback in that situation panics when the line's running at him, usually things don't go well. It's the guy who can keep his cool, keep his poise. He's the one who's going to be able to get away and make what they say something out of nothing. Or, even better, he could just make a lot out of nothing. It's like a touchdown. But entertaining the idea that this could be the best thing that ever happened to me, and you may be thinking, but I don't want the breakup. I'm not going to play the pie in the sky game. I'm not asking you to do that. What I'm saying is that I've been doing this for nearly 2 decades. And there's an interesting secret that's kept in the relationship recovery service. And that is when couples go through crap, when couples go through difficult times, like a breakup, where you think this person, they don't love me, they don't want to be with me, and this person may even think that. That's the moment. Doesn't mean that's the future. And if you watch my other videos where I talk about the stages that your ex goes through while you are using the no contact rule, you'll note that I say, right now, it looks bad. Right now, your ex doesn't want to be with you. Right now, your ex has lost attraction for you. Right now, your ex is relieved that they've broken up with you. That doesn't sound very good. But you see, you're taking action to change their heart and mind. So you're looking to the future. And so how could this actually work out to be the best thing that ever happened to you? Well, that secret in the relationship recovery service that I've spoken to other people in the industry about is that couples who go through this on the other side are usually so much stronger. And there's such an intense love and commitment that is found on the other side of thinking they're not going to be together anymore. It's actually pretty incredible. But it seems like, especially when people ask me, is it even worth it? Or they'll say, if we have this on again, off again history, should we just call it quits? And the reason people think that is because a lot of people think, well, if it's not easy, then we should just call it quits because it's not natural. We weren't meant to be. When everyone is flawed, every relationship has its flaws. And so really, that's not true. Because when you're able to correct those things, then the connection that you feel you have, the intimacy that you have, it's like it puts it in turbo. It makes it to where it is incredibly fulfilling, like it's living its purpose as far as being in your heart and being in this other person's heart. And going through those difficult times, the on again, off again, and you don't know what the future holds, but you keep finding your way back into each other's arms. That's when it can be incredible. And it can be the best thing that could have happened to you. I have heard it from the mouths of women who a few months or even a year earlier were in tears and thinking that their life was over because he had left them. And then to tell me that it ended up being the best thing that ever happened because now they are far more close to each other, more intimate, more connected than they were before it happened. And I'm not saying that you should wish that it would happen, but when it does happen, you can approach it from a position of strength, which says, this could be the best thing that ever happened to me. This could be exactly what I needed. So, for example, when the quarterback sees that his line was not able to hold and now these big guys are running at him, he knows from experience this could turn out to be the best thing that could have happened in this moment. Because if they're running at me, and because of my poise, because I have experienced this before, I know if I can get around them, if I can get away from them, and now they're behind me, there's nothing but open field in front of me. And there's more of their guys behind me than in front of me. And that's the same in life. Sometimes you can rope a dope, like Muhammad Ali as a fighter did. It looked like he was getting beat up, but it turns out that was part of the plan. And Ali always operated from a position of strength, which is what you can do. Things look bad, you choose to accept that everything is a house of cards. This could happen with anything, and it can just as quickly turn good. And you are going to operate as though what is happening is actually a good thing. It doesn't mean that you fake it. It doesn't mean that you pump the sunshine and tell everybody that this is exactly what you wanted. But it does mean that you choose to operate as though you will survive this, you will thrive eventually, and you will do what you think is best in order to bring about your desires. So in the case of being dumped, I will tell you, if you give me a few minutes, not to beg, not to call, not to cry, not to plead, because that's operating from a position of weakness. When you are at someone else's mercy, and I give the example in other videos, when you're at the mercy of a dictator who says, I'm going to take your house, I'm going to take your income, I'm going to take everything from you. All you can do at that point is beg for mercy because this person has the power and you don't. So you are in a position of weakness. Begging is a position of weakness. So that's why I tell you not to do it, because you are operating from a position of weakness when you do that. But when you make the choice and you say, this is something I can control, I'm not going to reach out to them. I'm going to make them see what it's like to be without me. I'm going to allow them to experience the breakup. I'm going to give it to them. Because, see, a lot of times you have to give people up to what they think they want for them to learn from it, to learn they don't want it, to learn that they miss you. They can't miss you if you're there. So if you actually want to use a powerful tool to get your ex back, if you want to give yourself a great chance, back off completely so that they can actually not have you. When they don't have you, When you are missing, they can miss you. They cannot miss you if you're still there. If they miss you, then they can move towards you. They can start to see a reason. They can start to see that they actually want to get back together, because when they break up with you, it's actually just a concept. They think they want to break up with you. They haven't actually experienced it yet, so they don't really know. They just think that they do. And so the more difficult you make it on them, right away, cold turkey, make them experience the pain of not having you and realizing that they did it to themselves. And so the no contact rule is actually operating from a position of strength, in that you refuse to beg. You are actually going to use this breakup to get your ex back, which probably just blew a lot of minds out there. Use the breakup to get your ex back. Make them feel the breakup. Give them the breakup. Call their bluff. This is what you want. You got it. You're going to do without me, and you're going to miss me, and you're going to want me back. Will I take you back? You probably will, because you want to be with this person. And you recognize that just because they broke up with you, it does not make them a monster. It doesn't make them wicked. It just makes them a flawed human being who doesn't know what they want, or who's even susceptible to what other people are telling them. I talk to people all the time who are convinced by other people, you should break up with this person, which, unless there is mistreatment, it's really a sorry thing to do. I won't get into that, but just know that your ex can be influenced by other people. So you should not see this as my ex is a flaming narcissist who hates me because they broke up with me. Your ex may be a flaming narcissist. I don't know. I'm just saying that just because your ex broke up with you doesn't mean that that's always the case. It could just be that they're a flawed person who doesn't know what they want. And if you want to take them back when they come crawling back, you're not in the wrong for doing that. As a matter of fact, it's also operating from a position of strength, because you are able to forgive and recognize that this person has actually learned an incredibly valuable lesson because you allowed them to learn that lesson. And so therefore, operating under that position of strength, operating with that position of strength, actually not only got your ex back, but taught them a lesson that they will remember if they ever do consider this, or if things get difficult between the two of you. Your ex has that file in their head to draw back on. It was difficult to be without you. They remember they missed you. They don't want this again. And so they're more willing to work on it. So that's why I tell people, no, just because it gets difficult, it doesn't mean that's when you end it. Because you actually can make it to where it's more stable going forward, because you have those memory files where you say, I remember missing him. I remember crying over him. I remember my phone buzzing and it wasn't a text from her. I thought it would be. And I realized, well, yeah, I broke up with her. That's why she's not texting me. You see how they can remember that, and they can remember those lonely nights and hurting and thinking that they had lost you forever because they hadn't heard from you, and what that felt like. And so operating from this position of strength, that early on it feels like a position of weakness, that you're giving away your power, giving away your weapon and weapons in your arsenal of contacting them that you could use to talk them into getting back together with you. But that doesn't work. If you've tried it, you know it doesn't work, because this person has been thinking about this not just for a day or two, but usually weeks or months or longer. And so they're really prepared to stand strong. And if anything, it just makes them a better soldier against you, because they get practice at telling you no and rejecting you. Do not give them that. Operate from a position of strength, and you actually have a better chance of getting your ex back, and a better chance of getting other things that you desire in life. Sometimes you just have to give people up to what they think they want and show them a thing or two. Click the subscribe button below. My emergency breakup kit is the culmination of my 20 years in the relationship recovery service. Check it out. There's a link to it in the description below. This has been Coach Lee, and as always, thank you for watching.